All right. So, unfortunately, something happened and something came up. So, um, she will not be joining us. Okay. Now, I'm going to. Is it really necessary? Do I really need to do this? Okay, I'll show you. I'll show you. So, for the people in here, you can see. For the people up there, well, again, that is how it crumbles. So I'm going to resume this, and then I'm going to show you. Oh my gosh. What? Forget it. I'm not going to do it. Okay, I'm not going to do it. You can see it for yourself. I don't know. I just don't want to show things in this format. I just don't want to do it. I think it's time that we end the Amenten meeting. So, So, how it worked was, she presented her dish to the audience. People came up and had to, they could, serve whatever they wanted for themselves. And apparently that was wrong. Because apparently she then got judged for doing that. Where she should have been the one to serve people. Or there should have been somebody else to serve people. Where the customers should not have had to serve themselves. I am just stating the argument. I'm just stating what happened and what it was about. My thoughts are on that, and I would show you, but it's just, I just don't want to. I don't want to. But the point is, the fact of the matter is that Alton was telling her that, customers should not have to do that, should not have to serve themselves. And Jada, in the situation, Jada De Laurentiis was sitting down right next to him, nodding. And I wanted to hear her reiterate what Elton said and possibly expanded on what Elton said from her. Is it because she is also a woman? I don't know. But, it really wasn't a big deal. And it wasn't really anything, there wasn't anything wrong with that. They weren't cooking the food. All they were doing is they were adding what they wanted to add because everybody has different tastes. That was the whole point of what she was doing. It was supposed to be. It was an experience where she made the dish, I can't remember, what it was exactly. And then people came and then they served themselves. But apparently that was wrong because, when she tried to explain what her intention was behind why she was doing that, Elton didn't listen to her. My personal opinion, I don't want to make this a big deal, but there is a deeper undercurrent to this. My thought is not a big deal. That is how she wanted it, and I don't see the problem. That's kind of something really petty to judge somebody against, judge somebody for, although it is, competition and, but still. But then, sometimes we feel like, why fight? Sometimes it feels so delicious to go along with the side of an argument that we don't agree with. Now here's why this was a little bit unnerving to me. I'm sure that a lot of people out there with the sun in Taurus and moon in Libra, like where the sun and moon, where they are today, because the sun is in Taurus and the moon is in Libra. I'm sure that a lot of people with that combination are really loving, charming, collaborative, well-balanced, all of those positive Venusian traits of Sun and Taurus, Moon and Libra. There's obviously more to your natal chart than the Sun and Moon, because I knew somebody a year ago that was not like that. I mean, he was. But if you all remember back to, Mr. To somebody that I knew, I can actually call him by his first name now, Justin Tyson. He was somebody who was here at the Amenten a year ago, who is not here now, not going to come back to my Amenten, and he was here at my Amenten. And he was an embodiment of fixed energy, of sort of the downside of fixed energy, which is kind of stubborn and willful, where it can get negative. Because will is positive and there's a negative side to will. Now, And he is of the millennial generation. And you can study, you can read things about the millennial generation and the kind of conditioning that, been raised, and this is to be general, raised among sharks. So why don't you become a shark? Apparently, they were a generation that were really given a short end of the stick, and they become very arrogant and very wanting to be powerful and in control to where it can be a detriment to the collaboration of other people, is one trait. This person had the moon in Libra, sun in Taurus, Saturn in Libra. In terms of a synastry perspective, so synastry is the astrology of relationships. So let's say your sun was conjunct or trine or sextile or squaring or opposing somebody else's Mars sign. So that would be synastry. That would be the astrology of relationships. It goes beyond sun sign compatibility. That's part of it. His natal Saturn placement was Libra, and my moon is in Libra. And so Saturn is a really, it's a restricting, limiting principle that's really top down. That's very like a, father type of energy. And it can certainly lend itself to, quite a lot of positive traits of which I want to pull out of Aunt Joe. I want to pull out those Saturnian beliefs and those Martian beliefs, because Aries is ruled by Mars. But I want to pull out those beliefs from my aunt, because I want her to be on the same page as everyone who, has, told me about, putting the work in, etc., etc., etc. So, this person, has his moon in Libra, Saturn in Libra, and Saturn can be an influence which tests you to see how much work you can put in, and it can be a judgmental influence. It's sort of, and on the downside, it can be really limiting to somebody. When somebody's natal Saturn is on your moon, or when somebody, let's say somebody has a Saturn placement, and it is conjunct your sun sign. Well, there are positives in that relationship, but there's also the difficulty of the Saturnian sun seams resulting in conflict and, the ego side. So, looking at, especially a square, of a planet to another sign, it can bring up the negative qualities of that planet. It can emphasize that. Oh my goodness. I'm going to make this really, really quick. Libra is ruled by the scales. It's symbolized by the scales, and it rules over law. It's the only sign that is symbolized by an object that is not a living creature. Libra rules over the law, and this is the way things are. This is justice. This is just. And so the law and justice can come down really, really hard at sometimes, or it can be proper and right. But Libra is ultimately about the principles of social law, which can lend itself to tying into, Capricorn. The squares can be really powerful energies. Libra is square to Capricorn, but, anyway. Aries is also square to Capricorn. Sun's exalted in Aries, Mars is exalted in Capricorn. Gemini is square to Virgo, but both of those two signs are ruled by Mercury. So, now, yeah. So sometimes it is about the law. And this person that I knew looked at the law. It was really for the law and the way that things should be. And at times he was very judgmental. And he made, Colin, a friend that I had, feel, I, really felt in that situation that he was being, that his personal power was being sort of taken away from him, that he could not express his authenticity, which I felt really bad about. And it was very difficult to be in that room and witness that and oversee that, because I really felt that. I really felt for him, and sometimes it was uncomfortable to be in that situation. Oh, well, why didn't I leave the room and go somewhere else? Well, I will admit that there is a part of me that likes to overhear, negativity and drama between people. I will admit to that, and I will do that willingly. Anyway, it's my Scorpio South node. Now, so Libra is about the law. And, I certainly feel like, those feelings come into place. It's like the parent, do your homework, get, good grades, do your chores, do this, do that. And, he certainly at times was critical. And while I didn't like that, I will say that there was a time when, that was a positive experience. Because I've changed. And I may have become more hardworking because of that criticism. For that matter, because of that constructive criticism. And those judges on Food Network give the constructive criticism. And you may not always want to hear that criticism. But it's almost like you need to hear it in order to become better. Because that is their job. And I'm not going to go too in depth. For example, I did a test. I took a test. It was like a map test, and I didn't know all of the countries. And then I got the 5th degree from, Mr. Tyson. And then I didn't do the same thing again. I studied and I became prepared, and I got all of those countries, and I became better. Reality check moment. And Saturn is about reality, and it is about truth. And it isn't always easy. And it's in Libra, so it does have to do with what is just, what is honest, what is right by the law. I just wanted to speak to that. Alright. So that is all for this meeting, everybody. I was going to plan to have you do work and do all of that, but it's getting close to dinner. Of course it is. Because I always intend to have you work. And that doesn't always happen. Now, that's it for today, everybody. And bye for now until we meet again.